What if the unthinkable unraveled in your own home? Imagine discovering your spouse, the love of your life, your partner in faith, harbors a secret so shocking it could destroy everything. In Montgomery, Alabama, a pastor's perfect world shattered when he learned his wife was once a man, leading to a deadly rage in the church. What would you do if faced with this betrayal? How would you solve this twisted case? Can you piece together the puzzle of love, deception, and murder? Get ready for a jaw-dropping true crime tale that will keep you glued as we unravel the mystery together.
Welcome to Secret Witness, the channel where we uncover crime, betrayal, and the darkest secrets people try to hide.
Every day we bring you gripping true crime-inspired stories that will shock you, haunt you, and make you question what really happens behind closed doors. So before we dive into today's chilling story, make sure you subscribe and ring the bell icon, so you'll never miss a single twist. A love built on faith. In the heart of Montgomery, Alabama, Pastor James Carter stood as a beacon of hope, his deep voice resonating through the modest First Grace Baptist Church every Sunday. He exuded a quiet strength that drew his congregation close. His life was a testament to faith, shaped by years of devotion to God's Word, but it was his marriage to Emily Carter that truly defined him. Emily, 38, with her gentle smile and soft auburn hair, was the picture of grace, her presence a soothing balm to the community. Their love story was the stuff of local legend, a perfect union forged in the fires of redemption, a bond that seemed unbreakable despite the absence of children. Emily hadn't always been the saintly figure she became. Before meeting James a decade ago, her life had been a whirlwind of chaos. Born Ethan Rollins, she had navigated a troubled youth in Birmingham, Alabama, marked by petty crimes and a restless search for identity. At 22, driven by an inner longing she couldn't name, Ethan began the journey of transitioning to Emily, a process that spanned years and ended with surgery and hormone therapy by age 28. The transformation was complete, her past buried beneath a new life, but the one secret she carried was her inability to conceive, a truth she hid even from herself at times. When she met James at a church revival in 2013, his kindness pierced through her guarded heart. He saw a soul yearning for salvation, not a past shrouded in shadows. Their love blossomed quickly, a whirlwind romance that led to marriage within a year, and Emily vowed to leave her old life behind, embracing her role as a pastor's wife with fervor. Their home, a cozy two-story on Magnolia Lane, became a haven of faith. Every morning, James and Emily prayed together, their hands clasped over the worn Bible on their kitchen table. Emily's voice, soft yet resolute, joined his in hymns, her past sins washed away in the eyes of God and her husband. They poured themselves into church work, organizing food drives, leading youth groups, and counseling couples. Their childlessness a silent ache they attributed to God's mysterious plan. Emily's devotion was unwavering. She led women's Bible studies, her gentle guidance a stark contrast to the rebellious Ethan of old. James adored her, often calling her his gift from heaven, their love a public testament to redemption. The congregation marveled at their unity, unaware of the secret that gnawed at Emily's conscience. For years, their marriage thrived on this foundation. Emily's transition, completed before their meeting, was a distant memory, her medical records locked away in a safety deposit box she never touched. She convinced herself the past didn't matter. Her love for James was real, and his love for her seemed to transcend any earthly flaw. They built a routine of quiet joy, Sunday sermons followed by family dinners with church elders, evening walks hand in hand through Montgomery's oak-lined streets, and late-night talks about their dreams of expanding the church. Yet, the absence of children lingered, a shadow they prayed over but never fully addressed. Emily's heart ached with each baby dedication at church, but she masked it with smiles, her secret a wall she dared not breach. The first crack appeared in the spring of 2023. James, organizing old church documents in their home office, stumbled upon a misplaced envelope from the bank. Inside was the key to Emily's safety deposit box, a relic she'd forgotten to secure. Curiosity piqued, he drove to the bank that afternoon, his mind racing with innocent thoughts of old tax records or family heirlooms. The box revealed more than he bargained for. Medical files detailing Emily's transition, the surgeries, the hormones, and a doctor's note confirming her infertility. The words hit him like a physical blow. Patient Ethan Rollins, now Emily Carter, post-gender reassignment, unable to conceive. His hands trembled, the papers slipping to the floor as the room spun. The woman he loved, the wife he cherished, had once been a man. The revelation shattered the image he held of their perfect love, a secret so profound it threatened to unravel his faith. James returned home that evening, his face a mask of shock. Emily, preparing dinner in their kitchen, sensed the change immediately. "James, what's wrong?" she asked, her voice laced with concern as she wiped flour from her hands. He forced a smile, muttering about a long day, but the weight of the discovery pressed on his chest. He couldn't confront her, not yet. Over the next week, he wrestled with his emotions, praying for guidance in the church's empty sanctuary, his tears falling on the worn carpet. He visited the hospital, confirming the records with a doctor who offered a clinical nod, the truth undeniable. The pastor, known for his composure, felt his world crumbling. Emily's inability to bear children, once a quiet sorrow, now burned with betrayal. His love for her clashed with a growing rage, a fury fueled by the lie she'd lived, a secret that mocked his ministry and manhood. Days turned to weeks, and James' demeanor shifted. He grew distant, his sermons tinged with fire about honesty and sin, his congregation whispering of a man under strain. Emily noticed, her heart pounding with guilt, but she clung to hope, believing their love could weather any storm. She redoubled her efforts, cooking his favorite meals, joining him in prayer, her touch a plea for forgiveness she couldn't voice. Yet, the tension built, a pressure cooker of emotions neither could escape. One night as they sat at dinner, the silence broke. James slammed his fork down, his voice trembling. "I know, Emily. I know about Ethan." The words hung heavy, her face paling as the secret unraveled. Emily's eyes filled with tears, her hands shaking as she reached for him. "James, I swear that was before you, before us. I turned my life to God when I met you. I'm a new creation," she pleaded, her voice breaking. She explained her past, the struggles, the transition, the decision to hide it to save their love. "I couldn't lose you. Our love is real, stronger than this," she sobbed, clutching his hands. James listened, his face a storm of pain and anger. He wanted to believe her, to see the woman he'd married, but the lie gnawed at him. The argument escalated, voices rising in their quiet home, accusations flying, her deception, his judgment, the childless years now a symbol of her hidden truth. In a moment of despair, Emily fled, her coat snatched as she ran into the night. James, consumed by rage, followed, his mind a battlefield of love and wrath. She sought refuge in the church, kneeling at the altar, her prayers a desperate cry for mercy. But James burst through the doors, his Bible falling to the floor. "You've defiled this house with your lies," he roared, his hands finding a candlestick. In a blind fury he struck, the metallic clang echoing as Emily crumpled, blood pooling on the sacred floor. The pastor stood over her, his sobs mixing with the silence, the love they'd built destroyed by the secret that ended her life. The fallout and the search for truth. The dawn broke over Montgomery, Alabama, casting a pale light on the First Grace Baptist Church, where the air still hung heavy with the scent of blood and betrayal. Emily Carter lay lifeless on the altar, her auburn hair matted with crimson, the candlestick that ended her life clutched in Pastor James Carter's trembling hands. The congregation, arriving for morning prayer, stumbled upon the horror, gasps and screams shattering the silence as they found their beloved pastor kneeling beside his wife, his sobs echoing through the pews. The once holy sanctuary, a place of solace, now stood as a crime scene, police tape fluttering in the breeze, detectives swarming with grim determination. James, his face streaked with tears and guilt, offered no resistance as officers led him away in handcuffs, his Bible abandoned on the floor. The love that had defined their lives had turned to ashes, and the town braced for the fallout of a secret too devastating to contain. Detective Maria Delgado, a seasoned investigator, took charge of the case, her sharp eyes scanning the church for clues. The initial shock of the murder was compounded by whispers of a deeper truth, Emily's past as Ethan Rollins. Delgado's team seized James' home office, where the medical records that sparked his rage lay scattered. The documents painted a picture of a woman reborn, her transition a decade-old chapter she'd buried to build a life with James. But the investigation unearthed more. Old police reports from Birmingham linked Ethan to minor thefts and a bar fight, crimes Emily had never disclosed. A former acquaintance, Lisa Harper, came forward, her voice trembling as she recalled Ethan's wild days, adding layers of shame to Emily's hidden history. The discovery fueled speculation, the town buzzing with a mix of pity and judgment, their pastor's wife now a figure of controversy. James sat in a stark interrogation room, his hands cuffed to the table, his once confident demeanor replaced by a hollow stare. Delgado pressed him gently, her tone firm yet compassionate. "Tell me what happened, Pastor." His confession poured out, a torrent of pain and rage. He spoke of finding the records, the hospital's confirmation, the nights he lay awake wrestling with his love for Emily and the lie she'd lived. "I tried to forgive her," he whispered, his voice breaking. "But every time I looked at her, I saw the man she'd been, the reason we couldn't have a child. It ate at me until I couldn't breathe." The argument replayed in his mind. The dinner table confrontation, Emily's tearful admission, her flight to the church. "I followed her to save our love, but all I felt was fury," he sobbed, the candlestick's weight still on his soul. His faith, once his anchor, now felt like a mockery, and the detective saw a man unraveling, torn between devotion and damnation. The community reeled, the church splitting into factions. Elderly Deacon Thomas Reed defended James, his voice quivering at a town meeting. He was deceived, his heart broken by a lie. "We must pray for him." But younger members, led by choir director Rachel Owens, demanded justice, her eyes blazing with anger. "Emily was one of us, redeemed by God. This was murder, not mercy." The congregation's grief turned to division. Sunday services replaced by vigils outside the police station, candles flickering as hymns mingled with protests. Emily's deathbed image, her gentle smile now a memory stained with blood, haunted them, her past sins a bitter pill they couldn't swallow. The church, once a unifying force, became a battleground of faith and forgiveness. Delgado's investigation deepened, a search of the Carters' home revealing a locked drawer in Emily's dresser. Inside lay a diary, its pages yellowed with secrets. Her entries chronicled her fear of losing James, her decision to hide her transition to protect their love. "I've sinned, but God forgave me through James," she wrote in 2014. "I can't bear to see him look at me with disgust." Later entries confessed to unreported thefts from her past, money she'd anonymously returned to victims, a silent atonement. A final note, dated the day before her death, read, "If he knows, I pray he understands my new life." The diary painted Emily as a woman torn between her past and her redemption, her love for James a desperate bid to erase Ethan. The revelation stunned Delgado, adding a layer of tragedy to the case. Emily's secret, meant to save her marriage, had sealed her fate. The legal process began, James arraigned on murder charges, his bail denied due to the public nature of the crime. The courtroom buzzed with reporters, the story spreading beyond Montgomery, national news outlets dubbing it the pastor's deadly secret. Prosecutors argued premeditation, citing the weeks of rage post-discovery, while James' public defender, a man named David Pierce, pleaded temporary insanity, pointing to the emotional shock. The debate raged, had James' love turned to zealotry, or was he a victim of a truth too heavy to bear? Church members testified, some recalling Emily's devotion, others James' growing sermons on sin, his voice a thunderclap of suppressed fury. The trial loomed, a moral dilemma that gripped the nation, the blood on the altar a symbol of a love destroyed by deception. As days turned to weeks, James languished in jail, his cell a stark contrast to the pulpit he once commanded. He prayed nightly, his voice a whisper, seeking forgiveness for a sin he couldn't undo. Memories of Emily flooded him, her laughter at their first dance, her tears during their vows, the quiet nights of prayer. The love he'd felt now twisted into a knot of guilt, his rage a ghost he couldn't exorcise. Delgado, reviewing the diary, felt a pang of sorrow, the case a mirror to human frailty. The town held its breath, the church's future uncertain, the fallout of Emily's secret a wound that refused to heal. The search for truth continued, each revelation a step closer to understanding a love that ended in blood. The trial and the lingering shadows. The Montgomery courtroom buzzed with tension as the trial of Pastor James Carter commenced, the weight of Emily's murder hanging over the town like a storm cloud. The once revered pastor, now a gaunt figure in a faded suit, sat silently, his eyes fixed on the floor as the prosecution laid out their case. Lead prosecutor Angela Brooks, with a voice like steel, presented the evidence. The candlestick stained with Emily's blood, the medical records that ignited James' rage, and witness accounts of his growing sermons on sin. "This was a calculated act of vengeance," she declared, her words cutting through the air. The defense, led by David Pierce, countered with a plea of emotional distress, painting James as a man broken by a truth that shattered his faith and family. The jury, a mix of solemn faces, listened as the story of love, deception, and death unfolded, the church's altar blood a haunting backdrop to the proceedings. Testimony began with Detective Maria Delgado, her calm demeanor belying the complexity of the case. She detailed the discovery of Emily's diary, its pages a window into her soul, her fear of losing James, her silent atonement for past thefts, her unwavering love despite her secret. The diary's final entry, a plea for understanding, brought tears to the courtroom, the public gallery hushed. Lisa Harper, Emily's old acquaintance, took the stand, her voice shaky as she recounted Ethan's wild days, adding a layer of shame to the narrative. Church members followed, Thomas Reed defending James' honor, Rachel Owens decrying the violence, their words a tug-of-war between forgiveness and justice. James himself took the stand, his voice breaking as he relived the confrontation. "I loved her with all my heart," he said, tears streaming. "But the lie, it was like losing her twice." His confession, raw and unfiltered, left the jury grappling with his intent. The trial stretched into weeks, the media frenzy peaking with headlines like, "Pastor's Deadly Secret," dominating national news. Expert witnesses clashed, psychologists arguing James' temporary insanity, forensic experts confirming the rage-fueled strike. Emily's transition, once her private burden, became a public spectacle, her redemption story twisted into a motive for murder. The prosecution pushed for a life sentence, citing premeditation in the weeks of suppressed fury, while the defense begged for leniency, framing it as a tragic lapse. The community watched, divided, some seeing James as a fallen hero, others as a hypocrite who stained the church. Vigils outside the courthouse blended hymns with protests, the town's faith tested by the blood on its pews. As the trial neared its end, a twist emerged. A letter, found tucked in Emily's Bible, addressed to James, was read aloud. "My love, if you read this, know I hid my past to save us. I am yours fully in God's eyes. Forgive me." The words, written months before her death, pierced the courtroom, James collapsing into sobs. The letter shifted the narrative, hinting at a love that might have survived if not for his rage. The jury deliberated for days, the moral dilemma weighing heavy, love betrayed or a sin avenged. The verdict came on a somber afternoon, guilty of manslaughter, a compromise reflecting James' emotional turmoil. Sentenced to 15 years, he was led away, his head bowed, the church's future uncertain. Montgomery struggled to heal, the First Grace Baptist Church reopening under a new pastor, its pews half empty. Emily's grave, marked by a simple stone, became a quiet pilgrimage site, her story a cautionary tale. James, in prison, wrote letters of regret, seeking redemption through correspondence with former congregants. The town moved on, but the shadow of that night lingered, a reminder of love's fragility. The case faded from headlines, yet its echo remained, a story of faith, secrets, and a pastor's fall. As you've witnessed this heartbreaking tale, we leave the judgment to you. Would you forgive a loved one's hidden past, or would rage consume you too? Could this shocking truth be unfolding in marriages today? Share your thoughts, reactions, and how you'd react in such a situation in the comments below. Thank you for joining this journey. Your support keeps these stories alive, revealing the hidden truths that shape our world. This is Secret Witness True Crime Stories. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications if at all this mystery kept you glued so you don't miss out on the next.